81 weeks alcohol free. Let me talk about it. My first week was the toughest week I ever had. Before September 29th of 2024, the longest I had ever gone without drinking was 6 months. And to be honest with you, I thought I had it under control. I was getting myself into entrepreneurship and I was figuring things out the hard way. I had no mentor. I didn't go and talk to any pastor. Matter of fact, I didn't even have any friends that held me accountable to any sort of spirituality, any sort of getting in shape. I had hired personal trainers throughout my 20s, and it just didn't feel like I could resonate with any of them. I couldn't resonate with my coworkers because I had so much frustration with who I was. And I don't say this as a way to look down upon yourself. I say this because this is raw and real emotion that I was living off of. And having to reflect on this makes me go back into that time and relive that emotion because there's something there. And reliving the stress is what teaches on how to relieve the stress. That's a crazy thing to say, but it's the truth. Because when I was drunk, I couldn't hear God's voice. So when I stopped being drunk, I started praying. But the reason why I wasn't intentionally waiting for me to stop drinking to pray. I was praying while I was drunk. I wasn't hearing nothing, so I quit. And that's the moment that everything gets hard. Is when you stop praying and you stop doing things for you, going to the gym, taking care of everything that needs to be taken care of around the house, holding and maintaining a relationship is not growing a relationship. That means I wasn't maintaining or persevering a relationship with others. I didn't feel connected to myself, bro. Because I kept choosing the short dopamine. And it felt very scary to pull myself away from that. So I clinged to the gym. I clinged to something that was hard, something that I could physically see in a matter of weeks, in a matter of months, because up until the age of 29 or age of 28, I didn't have anything physically tangible in my spiritual journey for me to be like, oh yeah, I've had encounters that I feel like are miracles. And that's what kept me coming back to Christ. Like the time that I wrecked my car, right? And I didn't die, but I split my front end in half. Some of you guys don't know about that. The time that I ended up in the hospital, like 8 times in 1 year. The time that I was staring at medical debt and said, you know what? I can't allow myself to become anxious anymore. So I bottled it up again. And then when that didn't work, I put on a front and put all my anxiety into other people. Nobody wants to hang out with that. And so I realized I didn't want to be around me. And I started to think that God didn't want to be around me. But I heard something in one of my relationships because all my relationships kept going to shit and my relationship with myself was going to shit. And I remember a time where I was dating a woman and I wasn't really faithful to putting a label on a relationship. And her dad was really Christian. He said, the one thing I kept coming back to, despite how much sin I was living in, you need to be able to ask yourself, have you actually tried to get into the word? And I knew at that point, I didn't want to say no. So what did I do? I said, I need to try that. I said, you know what? I'll let you know. I said, you know what? I'm not, in my mind, I knew subconsciously that I couldn't give a clear-cut promise to anybody else because I couldn't even give a promise to myself. So for you guys out there that are trying to quit alcohol, I want to share this story because I was spiritually challenged when I stopped drinking. I was dependent on more of my human spirit And I didn't know how powerful the Bible was for helping guys like me in my situation until I devoted 10 minutes to start reading scripture. But it didn't start out that way. It didn't start out that way. You know, the way that I started creating accountability for myself was going to the gym. And I started to feel better about myself, but I didn't start to feel whole. I didn't feel fulfilled on my job. I didn't feel fulfilled in my relationships. I didn't feel fulfilled in my relationship to myself. And I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. And that bothers me. You know, it still does. Because I know that God is still doing and allowing things to happen in my life for me to be able to be qualified to be a dad, for me to be able to qualified to lead a woman, and a godly woman at that. And maybe even a woman more to a godly presence in her life. I had to stop drinking, bro, because I wanted more responsibility. I wanted more money. I wanted more responsibility in my entrepreneurial life. And at 27 years old, I didn't know that. I just knew that I wanted to see new success in my physical fitness. So I always stuck to that pillar. And I still do. But right now, I'm not feeling it. And I have to look back on this journey of 81 weeks being sober and understand that I wanted this. I wanted this responsibility. And if I'm going to tell anybody else that I quit drinking alcohol, now's the time to nerd out on my relationship with Christ, to nerd out on my responsibility to myself, to heal from all the bullshit that I tell myself or hold in my head between me and other people, my energy with myself, victim mentality. It's a matter of cleaning out all the bad energy. I wanted more responsibility because my mind was cleaning out all the mind-numbing stuff that I did while I was abusing alcohol. And at first, I never told anybody because I just wanted to do it on my own. I wanted to figure it out on my own. I thought I could do it on my own. Nobody had shown me how to be an entrepreneur. And I thought that I could just learn how to be an entrepreneur on my own. I didn't have a problem with asking for help about how to get in shape. I didn't have a problem on asking for help on like how to make more money. I had a problem with how to feel more of myself. I had a problem with asking on like, how do I feel more connected to God? Because I was afraid of really the version that I had to become and the amount of steps that I had to take and the amount of promises that I had to fulfill on in order to become, pull back all the layers of like this ego that I had built from all of the trauma and all of the personal shit that I had maybe just even done to myself, right? Like maybe just all the bad decisions that I made because of the way that I was turned off from Christianity, the way that I was turned off from more responsibility. I had seen it in my parents' life and they didn't look happy being together. They didn't look happy like handling a lot of responsibility. They looked like they wanted to just, like my dad wanted to play video games and drink. But he didn't have a father to teach him emotional intelligence. My mom didn't have a dad to show her how to be feminine, or a mother to show her how to be feminine and a man to show her how she needed to be treated. So she just let my dad, say and do whatever, and she didn't respect it because she didn't understand the covenant. She's still unmarried. It's her first marriage. She still hasn't dated. She still doesn't want to surrender her way of life because she never learned how to do things her way. She never learned how to do things outside of her own way, I should say. And for me, that was, I had to get really clear on, I can't do things outside, just in my own way. And for my dad, it was, I have to learn emotional intelligence with myself. And I had to hire a mentor to do that, bro. That was really uncomfortable. And I've never told anybody at first that I wanted to quit alcohol. I was just sick and tired of like how my brother and my mom and my dad looked at me. I was so worried about how everybody else and what everybody else thought of me. I didn't even care about what it was doing to my health until like, bro, like a month later, I was like, you know what? I guess I'll go to the gym again. I guess I'll eat a little bit healthier because my digestion was screwed off from drinking and then choosing to feed my body whatever it wanted. You know, the insulin cravings that you get, all the receptors that get blocked, protein synthesis that isn't happening when you're drinking. Like, I'm just nerding out now. But guys, you need people in your life to show you that you can't do it on your own. And it can't be your way. God is going to show you that it's never going to be your way. It's never going to be your way. It's never going to be on your time. God is not allowing other people to come into your life on your time. And I have to learn that still. But there's so many men out there that are trying to quit alcohol. And we just think that we're going to do it our way. Nah, bro. You got to start allowing the process to happen. Start allowing these steps to take place. Start giving yourself time to take time on who you are. This shit is important, man. Take time in reflection. Spend time with other brothers that just take this stuff important. That's an ambulance. I appreciate you guys watching. I'm going to cut this up and make it short. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Take the time for yourself. There's no other time like the present. Hug your mom, hug your dad, if you got them. If their heart means well. But you got to start blocking out, start creating boundaries for yourself from all the toxic entities, whether it be alcohol, people in your life. But I'm going to do a separate video on that. I need to become a viceroy. That's what I told myself. So that's what I'm going to do. God bless you.